This program is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is HomeTalkUSA with Michael King, where we will discuss topics pertaining to your home with industry-leading experts. Michael King is a licensed general contractor with more than 30 years of experience in home improvements and the author of Contracting with the King. Join us this hour for our segment InventAmerica with your co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton. Discover what's next in the home improvement industry and explore new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world as Michael King and Rita Crompton talk to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, we proudly present Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yahoo! Welcome, America. That's right. This is Home Talk USA, streaming live right here on the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. And now I'd like to welcome all of you to my sidekick and co-host. They call her the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Hey, Rita, how was the vacation?
Hey, how are you? It was wonderful. Back at work, hard at work down here. So
we got to work.
It's one of the things, I do, and I get people who call me all the time and ask me about things, and it just amazes me how many inventors out there have more than one invention.
Yeah.
And they're balancing, the money and the rigors of marketing and everything. And so today we're going to talk to 3 inventors. 2 of them are, kind of in the throes of getting things to market. And then our industry expert, so to speak, is an inventor with over 100 products in the marketplace, and he is brilliant.
We get a lot of tweets. And I get a lot of emails, and it simply ask me, where do you get the topics? Who comes up with these topics, and how does the topics come together?
Well, that's a really good question, because when I am talking to all of the inventors out there, and just for a number, there's almost 7 million inventors out there across America at any given moment. And so when I talk to them, when they just call me up, I get topic suggestions. Not that they're saying, talk about this, but in our conversation about their path, what happened to them, who they dealt with, I go, that's a good topic. And that's how I come up with them. I've got topics lined up through Labor Day.
Wow.
And it's all because of people I've talked to.
And then it all lines up with the process, talking about that process, which is so important, right?
It is. And we talked last week about how important it is, the first step, getting the search done. And that then sets up the next step. And I get so many inventors that they'll say, had a bad experience with one of the scoundrels out there. Well, I bought a book, and they said, you can do it this way. And it's like, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not true. And every decision you make is based on the last set of facts you got.
Yeah. You can't go to A.
And that's what we do.
You can't go to B till you do A, and you can't go to C till you complete B,
That's right. That's right. It's a one-step process. You make business decisions based on information gathered. And that's what we do, is we help inventors know how to gather the information, where to go to get the information. Sometimes it doesn't take very long. It's just you being able to get eye to eye with a potential consumer for your product.
Well, tell us about the couple guests and now product expert.
All right, so our first guest today is going to be Russell Kramer. He's got 4 products that he's trying to get into the marketplace. He is out of the Boston area.
All right.
And then our next 2 guests are Duane Genzlinger and Jerry Hanley. They're out of northern Colorado. They've been in business together for a long, long time. Their products are related to their business, But my question for them is, how do you run a full-time business and go out and build all these homes and still try to get a product to market?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard enough to do it full time, let alone then try to still run a construction business.
Wow.
And then our expert is David Streen. He's got, like I said, over 100 products in the marketplace. I think he's got over 40 patents.
Whoa.
And he is, wanting to help inventors and being able to get the information out there on what he's learned, and sometimes the hard way.
Is this the first time he's been on the show? I can't recall.
No, it's not. All of these guys have been on before.
Okay.
And David was on a few weeks ago, and honestly, he fills in a whole bunch of industry expert spots, our go-to expert on some topics because he's so far along in the process. Wow.
And at the end of the show, though, you're going to be talking about how you can get your product featured on the show. Because we're not a pay-to-play network. We're not a broken network. I mean, there's no charge to be on this radio program, right?
That's right. And we get the inventors on. All of the inventors on are, free to be on the show. They're sharing their story, what they've learned. And that's one of the things that we really want to focus on, is that anybody in America can be an inventor.
Well, I got a surprise.
And one of our shows coming up this summer is going to be about kids inventors.
Well, Rita, I got to tell my audience, I got to hop that big bird shortly. You're going to be taking over when we come back off a break. I'm going to introduce you back, open up the show, but I got to hop a big bird. I got to my little grandson. I'm heading to he's playing in the Little League World Series that starts this weekend in Branson, Missouri. So I got to hop that big bird.
Cool.
So so. You're gonna have to bring it on.
Time. We will do it. We will get it done. You have a wonderful time.
Well, everybody said, well, King, why didn't you just leave? I said, well, they don't realize that I've been on the air for 1,038 episodes. I've never, ever missed an episode since I've been on the air. So I have to keep that string alive to be here. They don't say nothing about me finishing the show. It's just I got to be here for the show. But
there you go.
1,038 in counting. That's a lot of episodes. But we hope our audience stays with us. And I know between Russell and Duane and Jerry and Dave, I know everybody's going to have a great time, and you're going to be providing some great information and to them. But again, as we said, we preach. We want
every American out there to realize that they can do it.
Well, and they can do it. I mean, I say if you have an idea, it all starts with the idea in your head. You have to have it in your head, but most importantly, you have to put it on a piece of paper. So if you can write it and can put it on a piece of paper, I need to tell you, I'm almost 100% sure it can be done. If you can write it and think about it and write it, I think it can be done. I think that's the thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we get some of the cutest prototypes made out of duct tape and cardboard and pipe cleaners and Legos. I have seen some really good ones out of Legos. It's like, get down in there in your kids' toys and find out how you can get it out of your head and into something three-dimensional.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is.
Well, Rita,
my friend, you have a wonderful trip and enjoy your grandson.
I am. Well, Rita, there's the music right there. We always invite everybody to go to our website, HomeTalkUSA.com. Check out our partners page. By helping to patronize all these great sponsors, Rita, basically keeps our show on the air because, again, none of our guests are charged to be on this radio program. And again, if you want to stream, if you want to catch the live stream, that's the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. That's when we live every Saturday from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. That's Eastern Time right here. That's when you can catch the InventAmerica show. But if you want to listen to the whole 3 hours of Home Talk USA, that's 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock Central Time on the Genesis Communication Radio Network. All right, we're going to take a short break. Got to pay some bills. My co-host is going to be back with you, Miss Rita Crompton, the Inventor Lady herself. I'm the Cajun Man. Yahoo!
USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HomeTalkUSA.com, one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to InventAmerica from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, also known as Inventor Lady, and we are here with you from InventAmerica. And so excited to be able to talk to the three inventors that we've got coming up today. Our first guest is Russell Kramer, but first I would really like to thank GCN Network, the Genesis Communication Network, and all of the support we have had while we've teed up InventAmerica, where we reach out to everyone in America who can possibly be the next best inventor. So if you want more information, please visit our websites, HomeTalkUSA.com, InventAmerica.info, and then just for the fun of it, go to HomeTalkTV.com, and you can see a lot of our episodes listed there. So our first guest today is Russell Kramer. We're talking about multiple inventions. I mean, you know, it's hard enough to do one, but then I get inventors who have done lots of inventions. Russell, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome, Rita.
So you've got 4 products. You've got TrueView, which is the furthest down the line. It's the one you started with. The patent is issued, and then you've got Copper Microbe Stopper, Cleanos, and then JarMate is the last one, kind of, you know, pulling up the back there. You have been a lifelong inventor ever since you were a kid. But my question for you today then is, one, you've still got a day job. So how did you decide of the 4 ideas you had, which one to go out the door first?
Well, I came up with TrueView just as being part of the Inventors group, and I was experimenting on my car because I was having difficulty with, you know, blind spots, and the idea occurred to me, and I was able to make a prototype really quickly, and then to show it to you, and it went through all of your search quests, and I made videos to show it could work. And so that one was just kind of like a practical necessity. It is the mother of invention. I had issues, you know, almost getting sideswiped. And so that's kind of the motivation behind TrueView.
Excellent. And I've used it. It's amazing. It's like, for, you know, so many times when you're coming up and by a car, or cars coming up from you, and all of a sudden you see it in your side mirror and you don't realize, one, how close it is or how large it is. And then the next thing, it's in your peripheral vision and you jump because it startles you. And TrueView avoids all of that because you see real-time spacing, real-time size. It's an amazing product.
Yeah, it's just that the background is just that the alternative were those fisheye lenses, and they distort all of those crucial features, the distance, the size, and the speed. So this was a way to solve that problem.
I know they put the object you see may be closer than expected. Well, then what good are you?
Exactly.
So, anyway, you know, so you've got 2 other products that fall into that PPE, personal protection equipment. But the one, you know, the Cleanos is interesting, but the one that's got that scientific proof to it is the Copper Microbe Stopper.
Yeah, Rita, those 2 came up because during the pandemic, you were just saying to everybody, get something, invent something in the PPE category. That's personal protective equipment. And that just spurred me on as well. So that was like an obvious need to be proactive to prevent the transmission of, well, not just COVID, but any other number of microbes. And so I had known about the antimicrobial properties of copper, and I heard, just as we all have, about the talk of avoid high-touch surface areas. And I kind of put the 2 together, that high-touch surface areas is where a lot of the diseases are spread. And I said, wait a minute, what about making covering for all these high-cut surface areas? And that was how the copper Microbe Stopper was born. And yes, there are all kinds of data about that. It's been known since ancient Rome that, copper has those properties, and then science bears it out today.
Right. So how do you manage working in three different industries? This isn't even related to your working life, but you're in, the automotive industry, you're in the PPE industry, but then you're also kind of in that kitchen, type of product industry. How do you manage to do research in all the different industries?
Well, there's a lot of common factors. And, I've been in engineering, so I'm familiar with a lot of, material science and just very good researcher. So you can apply a lot of basic knowledge that overlaps in different fields, and they can work because material science applies to all of my inventions, and I have a lot of knowledge of that from what I've been doing as an application engineer. And it's called general systems. There's a lot of common features in different areas and different disciplines. So you can use a lot of these skills that apply to those different areas. And that's one of my great secrets, I guess.
It was good that, you gave us something that was the commonality with all the industries and how you work that. So that makes perfect sense. What advice do you have for the inventors listening to us today?
Well, I like you've said, many people have said, join an inventors group, and I guess the broader term is network with people that have been doing it longer than you have. And I can say that because I have another invention I patented, but way before I joined the group. And what they tell you in these groups, one of the things is make inventions that are simple, intuitive, relatively low development costs. So, and I didn't know that. My first invention was a variable type ergonomic laptop computer. And it was like a mechanical device to make the monitor go up and down at the right angle for ergonomics. Great idea, but did I have the money to develop that? No.
Anyway,
that was a hard knocks example of what happens if you don't join a group.
Our music is getting louder, Russell. I'm going to thank you very much for being with us today, and your products are listed on the Inventor Lady website, so you can actually go to inventamerica.info and click on our products page and be able to find Russell's products. So thank you, Russell, and we need to go and pay some bills.
Thanks, Rita. Bye.
USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HomeTalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to InventAmerica from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us or sticking with us, whichever the case may be. We are reaching out to all of the American inventors out there to encourage you to take that first step. So go ahead and join us at the Inventor Roundtable meetings. Go to theinventorlady.com if you are an inventor and you would like to be on the show. All you've got to do is click on how to be on the show and fill out the form, and it drops right into my email box. I have been getting phone calls from inventors all over the country, sometimes on a Sunday afternoon, and they're going, I can't believe you actually answered your phone. I do answer my phone. We always laugh because I say this is the phone number that's going to go on the side of my casket when I die, because people need to be able to reach out and ask questions. And so our goal is to help everyone out there who wants to become an inventor in America to be able to do exactly that and take the right steps. So my next guest today is Duane Genzlinger. I've known Duane for some time now. They've got a couple of products, and the challenge for Duane Genzlinger and Jerry with Hammerscale Homes is to be able to run a business full-time, a construction business, and still invent products. Duane, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So tell our audience about the products that you guys have invented.
Well, it's the one man's chalk line, which is called a snapper, and then we've got both ends of a chalk line that one person can snap without, with his thumb instead of, having somebody help or put a nail in or whatever. Then the other one is a box slider that moves the receptacle, over a half inch, so you don't have to cut the plates. And it always looks bad when you cut a plate off of a switch plate. They're never accurate, and they blow up, and it looks bad. So we've invented something that just moves that whole thing over inside the box. And you don't have to cut the plate that way.
I know when we go to the National Hardware Show with you guys, everyone you kind of hoard the audience because everybody is so excited to see the box slider and the snapper.
It's worked real well for us. And, we've used the slider in a lot of new construction. For example, we had you always put another stud in, to keep the box away from the door jambs. Well, one particular woman wanted 4.5-inch trim, so we were right back where we were again. So we had to use them to move it over that half-inch again. So it worked well. And
I always chuckle when I see you guys demoing the snapper because I do remember when my father would say, "Come and hold this," and then he would snap the line.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's like, that's the job. It's like, okay, Dad, I'm busy doing something. You need to hold it yourself. And then he'll say, to the other kid, no, come on over here and hold this. Because you always need somebody to hold an end before you could snap it, right? You can't hold both ends and snap at the same time.
That's correct. And I still owe your mother one.
There you go. So tell us, how do you guys, and she would appreciate it too, but then I'm not there to hold the other end. How do you run a business and invent products?
Well, it's kind of hard. Sometimes you think, well, here I'm too busy making a living where this might do it for me, but you just, in your spare time, and it's hard. It really is. I mean, we just,
these are both great products. Yeah, and they came out of a need that you saw in the business.
Exactly. I saw an electrician one time that he was moving a box, tearing drywall out, and I thought, my gosh, there's got to be a better way, and that's why I come up with the box slider. And and I've given that same electrician quite a few of them. So, and the snapper, I mean, it's for short-handed, 4 foot and under. It works. It'll also work as a regular chalk box, but this works in your hand reach, and like a sheet of plywood or something. You don't have to put a hole in something to ruin your product. It can work for knitting, or not knitting, but a lot of different things like fabric.
Yeah.
Chalk.
So, assuming that you guys want to keep your business, how are you getting your products out there? Besides going to the hardware show, because it's amazing how often somebody writes to me and says, how can I get a hold of these guys because I want one of those?
Well, that's thanks to you. I've gotten quite a few of the box sliders out, so that's and then we're still working on the snapper. We're word of mouth is a big thing. It just takes time.
Yeah, it sure does.
It's not an instant thing, and we found out that. So, but
it's amazing. You can build it, but it doesn't mean they will come because nobody knows you're there.
That's you need to get it out to see for people to see, and that's the biggest problem right there. So, and we're working on it.
We're working on it. That's right.
Not overnight success. So.
That's true. So what advice do you have for other new inventors that are, in that phase of just getting their first prototypes done and knowing that, the hardest part is the marketing and the selling?
Well, just go for it. It's expensive. The patents and all this, to protect yourself. And that's a real problem. But, if you believe in it, you have to go for it. I mean, that's the bottom line. You got to believe in your product.
I've heard that many times from professionals. It's like, you've got to be able to, you got to push it up the hill. And, I always laugh and say, a good invention is like a child. You conceive it, you nurture it, it sucks you dry, you throw it out. And until you throw it out, it never really grows up and takes care of you. So, you've got to get it out there.
It may be a great product, but there's thousands of them sitting on a shelf someplace, and they've lost interest in them. And, you really need to bring them out. And I mean, it's like an open checkbook, but, eventually it'll carry itself.
So what's next for you guys? What's next for you guys?
We've got a couple other inventions that we're working on, but I'm still trying to nurse this one. And
we're going to help you nurse it by getting it licensed, and we need to go ahead and wrap this up. Duane, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'll be talking to you later, Rita.
Absolutely. We need to go and pay some bills, everybody. So stay with us. We are coming back with our industry expert, Dave Streen.
To Home Talk USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HomeTalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to InventAmerica from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Hey, everybody. This is Rita Crompton, host of InventAmerica. Michael King, our wonderful father of Home Talk USA, is having a delightful experience watching his grandson play in the World Series. So, yay, Michael. And we've got David Streen right now joining us, and I wanted to let everyone know that the products that have been talked about today are all listed on the inventamerica.info website and also on the Inventor Lady website. So help support our inventors here in America by going and looking for their products and getting one sent to you in the mail. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. Dave is the CEO of EdgyTools, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Dave.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. So I own a tool company for removing dents out of automobiles, and I've brought about 100 different products to market, and just love the process. Love getting to see things that are started as an idea and turn into a real physical product that people are using and loving.
Well, one of the things that, because there are a lot of inventors out there who will have multiple products, and I know that when I've talked to them, it's like, all right, here's how you kind of start separating those things out so I can give my 2 cents worth, but they would rather hear your 2 cents worth. So how do you decide what to take to market and what not?
Well, I've changed my strategy on that. I used to bring everything to market, and I realized that just because you can bring something to market doesn't mean you should. So there are some clear winners, and I found that I'd rather bring fewer products to market, but better products, and give them more of the resources, the time, attention, money, effort, and energy, all going towards the few versus spread out too thin on the many.
So how do you decide?
I kind of use my gut more than anything and figure out, like, how much am I going to have to explain what this new product is and how it works, or are people just going to get it and want it? So, and I try and keep a good pulse on my market and talk to the actual people that will be buying the product and get their feedback and input along the way on bringing stuff to market. So, and then it comes down to cost analysis and does it make sense? Is it going to sell for the right price points and all that stuff?
Right. I mean, some of the things that I will tell inventors are if they've got a whole bunch of ideas, and I say, all right, is there a field that you're an expert in? All right. So, not expert like in PhD, but expert in experience. So if you're a builder, if you do car repairs, and you're inventing a new tool to use on a car engine, well, you're an expert. You know people in that arena. The next piece is like, all right, if you don't have that, then what do you group together? So you're learning one industry. And then the last group is they're just all over the place. Well, then which one has a better market? Which one is going to be easier and cost less to get the first prototypes out there? So that's some of what, I will advise an inventor when they've got to start taking those first steps. But you're exactly right when you say, all right, how is this going to make more money, or what is the market appeal compared to something else? When an inventor invents something that truly is brand new and there's nothing else out there like it, it costs a lot of money to teach people that you solved a problem they didn't know they had. And if you've got a better widget, a better way of doing something, now your market opens up because it costs less. People already know, what the flashlight does, and you've invented a new one.
Exactly right. Yep.
So with your products,
to back up, I also
in the same industry. Yeah.
And I'm trying a few of my products in different industries, and it's going well, but it's a different path than. In my industry, I've been servicing these people for 20 years in one way or another. They know I can trust me. So it's a lot easier. I know where they're hanging out. I know what they're interested in and all that. Whereas when I jump to a new industry, it's almost, I don't know where to start. And so it's going to trade shows and meeting people and learning the ropes all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a gentleman ask me, he says, well, I've got this one thing, but if I'm selling it into 3 different industries, do I have to have 3 different patents? And I said, absolutely not. A good patent is not industry-specific, material-specific, or size-specific when it's written correctly. So he could sell this one thing could be used in all kinds of different industries. So, you're wise in trying to move past just the industry you're in and seeing where else it can be applied.
Okay. Yep. Awesome.
Anyway, Dave, thank you so much for being with us. Give us your website, Dave.
Thank you. I'm going to give you my book because a lot of inventors want to check that out. It is freeinventbook.com.
Excellent. And where can they find it? On the freeinventbook.com?
Yeah. Yep. They can download it for free right there. So.
All right.
Okay, and if they want to see my tools, they can check out EdgyTools.com.
All right, and we'll get Dave listed on the InventAmerica.info website. Thank you, everyone, for listening in.
Thanks so much.
To Home Talk USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HomeTalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to InventAmerica from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And our websites are HomeTalkUSA.com, InventAmerica.info, and HomeTalkTV.com. We want to make sure we thank all of our great sponsors out there. We cannot do it without the sponsors. And also our wonderful host, GCN Network, the Genesis Communication Network. I want to encourage everybody to join us. If you are an inventor or you know someone who is, the Inventor Roundtable meetings are free, and we do them twice a month, once on the second Thursday and then on the fourth Monday. And it's all virtual, so all you have to do is shoot me an email, Rita@InventorLady.com, so I can make sure that you get the right link. Next week, we are going to talk about something critical to everyone, whether you're an inventor or not. You cannot invent more time. I wish we could. And that means, folks, we are out of time for today, and I will talk to everyone next week. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Home Talk USA with Michael King is produced by Home Talk Media in association with King's Broadcasting Network and Genesis Communications Network. Broadcast and streamed live from the great state of Louisiana. Host and producer, the Cajun contractor, Michael King. Executive producer, Michael Mellinson. Affiliate and sponsor relations, Joe Spera. Comptroller, Sheila Gregoire. Assistant producer, Christian Bethencourt. Board operators provided by Genesis Communications Network. And I'm your announcer, Kevin McCarthy. Music includes King's Creole by Prolificarts, Cajun Jam by StockMusic.com, and Zydeco City by Steve Rice. Home Talk USA with Michael King is sponsored by Bonide, pest solutions for your home, garden, and lawn. Decorators, take outdoor living beyond ordinary. Aztec Washer, innovative roofing solutions. Seal it right, seal it tight. Trimislab, replace rotten or missing wood with Trimislab expansion joint repair. Masonry Cosmetics, change the color of any porous masonry with proven masonry staining. Green Products Company, #1 in wood preservatives. Preserve, protect, and clean what you value, and most of all, make it last. Bond Products, manufacturers of InstaBind, the world's first do-it-yourself carpet binding solution. Deckrite, life is tough. Make your exterior flooring tougher. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Home Talk USA with Michael King. Until next time, visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com.
Yay!